Hey, Nikki Brown here. So, a lot of people don't believe it, but I've known what I've wanted since I was a little girl. I was hurt a lot as a child. I was touched and, by babysitters, people who were supposed to protect me. Um, Although I have a different understanding of it now. I had experiences, and this is what I say I've had experiences that taught me lessons and shaped who I am so that I can help others, you know, um, teach others and help others to overcome some of the obstacles that they've experienced in life. But at a very young age, because I had been touched and hurt, I realized that, and I could sing, right? So when I came outside, people would gather around me to listen to me sing. And so I thought to myself, so in order to get people's attention, you basically have to entertain them. Because my goal is to teach people not to hurt kids. At that time, my child mind was only focused on teaching people not to hurt kids. But I now realize that those kids become adults. And hurting people hurt other people, right? Because most people do not heal. They just continue the cycle. They repeat the same behavior that was done to them. Done to them. Again, everything is an experience, and nothing was done to you if you understand who you really are. Everything is an experience. So they just repeat the same experiences that they experienced, if that makes sense, right? They don't take the time to stop and think for themselves. They don't take the time to heal. And if you're someone who doesn't repeat the same cycle that was done to you, people get mad at you because they feel like, how dare you? How could you? How are you so strong when I can't be? They don't understand it. They're like, oh, well, so and so was done for me, so I'm going to do so and so too. Right? Just like saying, oh, well, my great grandmother ate pork and she lived to be 100 years, but it was a different kind of pork. They grew it. They raised the pigs themselves. They fed the pigs, so they knew exactly what was going on. And that's still not to say that a lot of them were sick. They may have lived to be an old age, but some of them had a lot of ailments that were related to their diet, right? But because I wanted to teach people not to hurt children, and I realized at a very young age that you can get in you can get people's attention by entertaining them. I decided I wanted to be an entertainer. First, I wanted to be a singer because I could sing really well when I was younger. Then my voice changed as a teenager and I stopped singing. Like I was in the chorus in school and all the different things, but I stopped doing that. I think in eighth grade. I think the eighth grade was the last time I did it. So in ninth grade, all through high school, I didn't do it because it was considered like an extracurricular activity, and my mother wouldn't let me stay after school to participate in after school activities. So then I decided I wanted to be an actress. And again, all of this is just so that once I entertain people and I have their attention, then I can start to teach them how to be, how to behave, how to treat people, right? It doesn't hurt to be kind to people, right? Kindness is not a weakness. Some people are so afraid that someone's going to take advantage of them or manipulate them because 9 times out of 10, that's what they do because that's what was done to them because, again, they're repeating the cycle. Right? So they're so afraid that somebody's going to hurt them or take advantage of them that they protect themselves by being mean. And someone like me can see through it like glass. Right? It's a defense mechanism. You're not really mean. You're just being a jerk because someone was a jerk to you. And now you feel like in order to be respected, in order to have power, and all of this different foolishness, that you have to be mean. You do not have to be mean. However, comma, right? If someone does manipulate you, if someone does take advantage of you, then you must defend or stand up for yourself. You can do so without yelling, without being mean. One of the things you can simply do is walk away from that person. You don't have to call them out for it, say, why are you doing this to me? And blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do that. You can say, I don't like the way that this person behaves. And it doesn't matter if this is a relative, a romantic partner, a friend, a coworker, a boss, right? If it's somebody that you work with, you deal with them in a limited way. Or you find out a way to get on their good side. If you choose to do this, you find out a way to get on their good side so that you can work with them better and you relax there, because they're in defense mode. They're in survival mode. They have their own defense mechanisms. And this is one of the reasons why they're behaving the way that they do. So again, if you have that understanding, if you have that grace for people, and you know that people are only hurting people because they're hurt. Something was done to them to make them the way that they are. And we have a lot of different personality types. We even have some, because of their trauma, they're narcissists, they're psychopaths, they're sociopaths. But again, even acknowledging their whatever's going on with them does not mean you have to deal with them. Right? But also, if you do need to say something, you can say it calmly, like, I don't like that. I don't like what you said. I don't like what you did. It didn't make me feel good. So, and a lot of times people will apologize because sometimes they don't realize they're doing it, because again, they're in survival mode, and they've been in survival mode for so long, they're unaware of what they're doing. That doesn't make it better. But a lot of times people say, oh, well, they did this to me, they did that to me, they know what they're doing, and they know better. And how do you know that they know better? Have you had that conversation with that person? No. You're making an assumption. You're judging that person. And if people are so religious, if no one sin is greater than the other, what you're doing is a sin as well by judging them and not attempting to have understanding, compassion, or empathy. And this is part of the problem. Another thing is, we've been conditioned and programmed that, oh, there's so many women in the world that men can just soar their royal oats for as long as they want to. And, so this basically leaves women unprotected. And so because people are not in a relationship mindset, now women have not been in a relationship mindset for decades now. And they're like, oh, I can be like the men, and I can just do whatever I want to do, and I can just soar my royal oats. And it works for some people. But the problem is the lack of strong families means the lack of wealth as well. So because we're not in family bonds, building like other nationalities, you hardly ever see a Asian single. And Asians in this country have the most money, probably followed by Hispanics, outside of Caucasians. They come here married. The wife has a nail salon. The husband probably works at, the market. They say have a beauty supply store or some other business. But they have business, right? They're typically not working for people, right? As we always say, oh, just get a job. Right? So if you and your partner, and even if you do both have jobs, but if you're at least working on moving up within those jobs, getting higher positions within that job. But if you're looking to stay at that entry level and not build, what is the purpose? What are you passing down to your children? What legacy are you leaving? Get a job? That's not good. We owned this land at one point, and it was the people came here and they took it from us, and now they charge us to live here. Whereas everything was free. All the resources on this land were free. We could pick a spot, build the land, teach our children how to do the same, grow food, and share it amongst the community. That is how we are supposed to live. We are doing everything right now that goes against our very nature. We don't understand our God self. And when somebody says something like that, oh, you evil, oh, that's the devil. No. You are being conditioned to not think that way, to not know your power, to not know who you are, to not understand who you are, so that you stay in a low vibrational place. And then when somebody like me says something to you, oh, she crazy. Like they divided us and put us on different, islands or different continents intentionally to separate us. This is what the Tower of Babel talks about, right? They separated us so that we spoke different languages and we couldn't communicate with each other, so that we couldn't come together. But people don't have that understanding. Right? Some people think that the Bible is literal. Some of the stories in the Bible are true, and they're telling you what happened to you and your ancestors. But people don't believe it. And so we walk around mistreating one another, and we think it's okay, we think it's funny, we think it's cute. Oh, that person know how to do so and so, I'm gonna steal that from that person. Although you may be great at something, you may be one of the best cooks in the neighborhood, best bakers in the neighborhood, best gardener in the neighborhood. You could be using that skill to teach other people, and you could be making money off of that. But instead, you have a jealous, envious eye for somebody else who is living in their truth, who is confidently walking in their truth. You can do the same, but you're so busy focusing on somebody else that you're not focusing on yourself and the gifts that you have, the ability and the skills that you have. Everybody has a gift. Use yours and help other people. Stop being mean. It's not necessary.